I was just going to say a quick good afternoon, everybody. Just waiting for people to come through at the moment. It's all very silent, so I thought I'd better say something. So just waiting for more people to join. I think we've got a good number of people attending this lunchtime. So just give it another minute or so to get everybody signed in, and then we will make a start. I was going to say, do feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat as well, as some of you already are, which is great. Obviously, just to let people know who you are, where you're from. Always good to say hi and meet sort of new contacts as well. Thank you. Obviously, the sun is shining across most of the UK by the looks of some of the comments in chat, which is great. We're just waiting for a few more people to sign in, I think. Okay, so we're just coming past 3 minutes past 1, so let's make a start. So just to say welcome everybody to this gorgeous sunny Thursday lunchtime. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us on this webinar. Really excited to be hosting. I'm Sharon Cooper from Charity People, recruitment specialist for the charity sector. And obviously we're doing this in conjunction with Remarkable Partnerships as well, as most of you may know about them, so that's great. And obviously the topic of today is what skills make a remarkable corporate fundraiser. So we've got 2 great speakers for you today. Just to let you know, the session is being recorded and you will get sent a copy of this afterwards. So as long as you've registered, you'll get to see a copy of this as well. Please do feel free to add any questions in the Q&A, not the chat box, but the Q&A. And we will look at answering those questions, or as many of those as we can this afternoon after the talk. Also, if anyone's having technical issues, you can do a direct chat message to Charity People, our tech person, Alison, who's in the background, making sure everything runs smoothly. So just a quick question, the Q&A, you can do it anonymously as well. So if you don't really want to have your name above the question, you can do that anonymously. So okay, so let me introduce our 2 guest speakers. So we have Preeya Varsani. Preeya is Head of Corporate Partnerships at Women for Women International and has been part of the organisation since 2017. Before that, Preeya worked in fashion and beauty PR, culminating in her position as Head of Global PR and Events at Charlotte Tilbury, where launching a charity partnership led her to the transition to working for women survivors of war. Now Preeya leads a portfolio of corporate partnerships, including Charlotte Tilbury and Jimmy Choo, amongst many others. She's passionate about helping companies make the most of their social purpose and raising funds and awareness for women living in the world's most dangerous places. And also introducing Nicola O'Donnell, who is Remarkable Partnerships. Nicola is a corporate partnership specialist with 16 years experience and is passionate about working with charities to create major long-term shared purpose corporate partnerships. Nicola, again, also has led a successful corporate fundraising team at Rainbow Trust, increasing income from 100k to 2.1 million. Amazing. Securing a number of major corporate partnerships, including Deutsche Bank, Numero, Invesco, the Jockey Club, Café Rouge, and lots more. And she also went on to secure partnerships with ICAP, Excel, Catlin, Jupiter, Manulife, and Berkeley Homes, to name just a few. So I hope you will enjoy this afternoon's session, and I will now hand over to Preeya, who's going to be our first speaker. Thank you very much, everyone. And don't forget to add your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks so much. I'm going to try and share my screen without any tech fails today. So I'll dive right in because we've got quite a short session and we want to have enough time to hear everyone's questions afterwards. So our top 5 skills for corporate fundraising. Firstly, relationship building. This, I think, is the #1 skill for all fundraising, not just corporate fundraising. Fundraisers need to be adept at building relationships with people and persuading them to invest in your mission. And corporate fundraisers need to be able to engage different types of people in different ways. Hopefully, once you've built that network of supporters, you'll often find that they'll take you with them, even if they leave the business. And this is one of the reasons why it's really important to always end a partnership well as well, ensuring that both parties leave happy and fulfilled with the relationship. As Sharon mentioned, I was previously head of global PR and events at Charlotte Tilbury, and I set up the partnership with Women for Women International back in 2016. I wanted to change my career, and I hunted down the managing director of Women for Women at that point and asked to volunteer 1 day a week and build their corporate fundraising income. One of my colleagues and subsequently good friends from Charlotte Tilbury's PR agency then took a role internally at Charlotte Tilbury and was managing our partnership from that side. It is because of that relationship and how engaged she and Charlotte Tilbury was in our partnership that they then invested £1 million in 2019. Not only that, one of my other colleagues from Charlotte Tilbury went to Net-a-Porter, who then ended up supporting Women for Women International and leading on that partnership from 2018 to 2021, where they raised over £500,000. So you can see the direct impact there of multiple relationship building coming, whether it's me coming to Women for Women International or, Charlotte Tilbury and Net-a-Porter helping to grow our organization. The second skill is communication, and even more specifically, active listening. Very often, we are going to have to adapt our work for different audiences. And whenever I have a meeting with a new business prospect, I like to spend the first half of that meeting listening and understanding what their business is, what's important to them, who their target audience is, and what success looks like for them. This is important because then I can then spend the section talking about our work and highlighting elements based on what they've told me that I know will appeal to them specifically. We also work super closely with our communications team at Women for Women International in order to help engage our partners' audiences, whether it's internal or external, in our work. An example I can give you is last year we were working with Estrid, which is a really millennial brand, and they have this amazing millennial audience that follow them on Instagram. And so to announce the partnership, we suggested that one of our ambassadors take over their social channels with a bunch of Instagram stories sharing how their support is going to impact our work. As well as that, Estrid told us that their audience love memes. And so we stretched our creative capabilities and came up with a couple of memes that show how you can substitute 1 coffee a week and donate that to Women for Women, and what that impact's going to give, which you can see there. Creativity, we were talking about this yesterday with a remarkable partnerships team, is probably the most underrated skill that corporate fundraisers have to have. There is no one size fits all way of working with businesses. And in reality, although there are common elements that you can probably take from multiple corporate partners and use throughout, you need to create a bespoke corporate partnership for each business. And this requires coming up with endless ideas for fundraising and engagement that targets that business's specific needs and objectives and audience. You also have to come up with creative ways of reaching out and engaging businesses as a prospect. Rob Woods, who many of you will know, often talks about different ways you can express your mission using creative tools. And yesterday when we were talking, Andy from Remarkable Partnerships mentioned about someone from Teenage Cancer Trust wanting to work with an alcohol brand and getting nowhere. So he drank a bottle of their beer and put a note in the bottle and sent a literal message in the bottle, which led to a new partnership. One of the things that we did at Women for Women was Jimmy Choo came on board as one of our partners in 2020, and they loved our Message to My Sister campaign, which involved writing a message to a woman survivor of war. Unfortunately, that campaign, so they sponsor some women for a program, and that also gives them the opportunity to write letters on behalf of their staff. And we created, along with our individual giving team, a letter writing workshop, which showed their staff what's involved with sponsorship, tips on writing a letter, and also the journey their message goes on to reach their sister, which they loved and have asked us to do multiple times since. The fourth skill is resilience, and this comes in handy in multiple ways. You will often have to take knockbacks and rejections in your stride, and you also need to have difficult conversations with partners and help them understand why we are pushing back on certain things, whether it's about how they talk about our work or the language we use to describe our program. There's often a power imbalance between charities and corporates. There's a sense that a charity should be grateful for anything they get, whether it's £1 million or a bunch of products that nobody wants anymore and that aren't fit for use. We are the experts in what our organization needs to deliver its mission, and we have to be confident in that and sometimes gently remind our partners and manage resource in a way to ensure we're prioritizing those partners that are able to invest the most. We work on a lot of cause-related marketing partnerships at Women for Women and with a lot of fashion and beauty brands. And a couple of years ago, a fashion brand came to us about partnering on a collaboration where they wanted to leverage our ambassadors and our social channels, which are higher than theirs, for a small donation of 5,000. I explained that we have partnership levels that help us manage resource on our side, and also our channels are not just a way of promoting partners, but a way of engaging our supporters in our work. They just could not understand why we weren't able to shout about every single supporter on our social media channels. But I know if they'd been talking to another fashion label about a collaboration, this conversation would have gone completely differently. When it comes to cause-related marketing, we need to value our brand, our channels, and our priorities as much as our corporate partners value theirs. And if they don't share those and are aligned with us in that, then we have to be okay with saying thanks, but no thanks. And although we didn't get that 5K from that business then, the time and staff resource that we saved allowed us to reinvest that in some of our other partners that are able to align with us. The fifth and final skill, and probably one of the most important, is persistence. So persistence overcomes resistance is a favorite saying of mine, and it's entirely true. The unfortunate truth is that it can take several years before you can convert a prospect into a corporate partner. And you need to be terrier-like and not give up in order to succeed. There's studies that show that people need to see a message 7 times before it sinks in. And the same is true of your cause. So don't be afraid of following up all the time. I met with Revolut back in 2019 when they were a fairly new mobile banking app and looking to launch their charity platform. This platform would allow their users to donate a one-off gift, a recurring donation, or a top-up donation. And they were looking to launch with 3 charities. And the contact at Revolut was a big fan of Women for Women and keen to work with us. What followed was 2 years of following up on when the platform was launching, chasers on invites, and attempts to engage them in our campaigns. But then finally, in the last quarter of 2020, we met with their onboarding team, had a 6-month complicated due diligence process to launch just in time for International Women's Day in 2021. And we're now reaching their 18 million customer base. So the message there for that skill is stay strong and the results will eventually come. You just have to keep hacking away at it. So I've sped through those really quickly, and I'm sure there's some questions, but I'll hand over to Nicola now, who's going to talk through a little bit more about how to develop some of these skills and demonstrate them in an application.
Thanks, Preeya. Wow, what fantastic stories. I absolutely love them. I love the letter writing to Jimmy Choo. I bet that was fun. The fact they wanted to do it all those times.
That's a heart sink moment, isn't it? When they want to do something, you're like, oh, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, can't do that. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, those are the skills, you know, we know these amazing skills that we need to have as a fundraiser. And I'm just going to try and talk you through some suggestions about developing these skills and demonstrating these in job applications and interviews. So the first one around relationship building, we know this is essential being a corporate fundraiser, but how can we develop them? So we've got top 3 tips for you. First of all, about developing empathy. So there's a great expression: people will forget what you've said. People will forget what you did. People will never, ever forget the way you made them feel. And empathy and understanding, it really builds connection. It's the best way to develop your skills is by telling a story. And Preeya is an absolute prime example of telling stories throughout her presentation. Especially, you know, the one about Jimmy's shoes, about the beer bottle, about Teenage Cancer Trust. They're so powerful. So the next is about listening effectively. It's so important, it's critical in boosting that other person's self-esteem. It's actually a silent form of flattery. If you feel someone is listening to you, you're flattered, you feel important, you feel valued. So we know how we feel. Have you ever been in a meeting? You know someone is on their mobile, you know they're answering an email, you know they're not engaged, and you really don't feel that valued. So the next time you're in a meeting, really practice, switch off your phone, switch off your emails, make eye contact, and really focus, really focus. It sounds obvious, but just try it the next time, because listening is just such an important skill that you can practice and get better at. And learn from others. In our industry, we have the most amazing people. And when I joined 16 years ago from the corporate world, I felt that other charities were my competition, and I didn't really engage with other charities. And then one day I was asked to speak at something, and I went to something, and I met all these amazing people and thought, why am I not talking to them? You can learn so much over the years. You know, I've met so many corporate fundraisers. They've told me their stories about building relationships and corporate partners. I picked up tips, and the main thing I got was confidence about being in this. I'm proud to be in this industry. So it's a brilliant way of doing this is by joining. Remarkable Partnerships have a WhatsApp group with 180 corporate fundraisers. So if you want a virtual coffee or a face-to-face, it's the place to go. And we'll send you the link to join. So communication, we all know that, you know, the real transformation in communication comes from being a master storyteller. If you can tell an absolutely powerful story, you will wow that interview panel. And to develop stories, you need to learn them. You need to write them out. You need to practice them. You need to talk to yourself in the car on the school run, say to a colleague, record yourself. You know, that is how you get better at storytelling, and you will ignite that fire. You know, you will make such a difference in that interview, and you will stand out from the crowd. You really will. And we've got a great blog on the partnership, Remarkable Partnership website, and it's all about the power of stories, and it will help. Now, creativity, my God, do we have to be creative? You know, your heart sinks, you've got a pitch, you're like, oh, I've got to come up with more ideas. How am I going to do that? But ever think that being creative is the ability you have or you don't have? Well, think again. Our brains are naturally wired to explore endless possibilities in the question of the world around us. And however, it's a muscle. It's actually a muscle that we use and we need to exercise, like we do with running, skipping, jumping, whatever kind of exercise you do. But by working this creative muscle, you really boost it, and you train it to be more creative. So what's our top tip? It's to do more brainstorms. You know, just don't do them on your own. Get a colleague, get someone, get your service department, get marketing, get someone that you don't usually connect with. Get them together. There's a great online tool called Mural. You might have used it, or get face-to-face. And the more brainstorms you do, it is absolutely changing on how you will come up with more creative ideas. I've really learned this myself as well. And in an interview, you can tell that story of how you started off with that seed of an idea, how it became this amazing idea and how you won the partnership. What a great story to tell in an interview. And resilience, well, it's a big skill within you. You need to be resilient. You know, you need to know that you're going to get no's. You're going to get no's, and it's hard. You know, you want to create more for your cause. You want to create more money, more service. You want to make that difference. And when you get a no, it hits. And, you know, and we know how that feels. But, you know, if you don't hear back from a prospect, you know, or, you know, that you feel, you just get that horrible feeling. But you've got to say to yourself, no. There's 9 kinds of no's. It's no, not now, or no, you're not asking the right question. So don't take it personally. Always go and talk to somebody else. Always go. I used to take it really personally in the beginning when I did the dreaded charity of the years and got no's. It was horrible, you know, but talk to colleagues, that helps as well. And the last one is persistence. Well, in a recent study with HubSpot, they revealed that 80% of sales requires an average of 5 follow-ups in order to close that deal. However, 44% of sales reps follow up with a prospect only once before giving up. After 4 follow-ups, 94% of people give up. So in order to be that remarkable fundraiser, you need to be in the 6% of people who keep following up with that prospect. When Rainbow Trust were pursuing their dream partner, a large financial services company, where there were many beneficiaries, parents worked, it took 3 years, like Preeya said earlier, years sometimes, to secure that partnership, leading to the charity having to support now more families with terminal illnesses. If the fundraising team hadn't been tenacious, those families never would have been supported. So, you know, the top is to share your stories. The top tip is to share your stories on how you demonstrated persistence. Tell the story in the interview. Tell it in your cover letter. We have a new business crash course coming up. You get a discount if you do it before June the 15th. It's a great course. If you can get the chance to go on it, that could help as well. And I'm going to end on a quote. The world is shaped by 2 things: stories told and the memories left behind. Thank you. I'll hand over to Sharon.
Bringing my best self. I was just reading the chats as well. Thank you so much to both Nicola and Preeya. Really, really fantastic tips. And being an ex-partnership fundraiser myself, you know, absolutely always find it useful. I think there's so much potential, and I love the resilience. Persistence is absolutely, you know, they're my 2 things I would also don't give up. You will get through. So we have got some questions, but before we go on to those questions, I just wanted to mention there's 2 links in the chat. One is for the Remarkable Partnerships blog, but also the WhatsApp group. And I would really, you know, really insist you to please do join the WhatsApp group, because you can share ideas, network with other like-minded fundraisers, and really just gain a lot of help, support as well. So it will all be sent in the email, follow-up email that we'll do after this, but I just thought I'd highlight that's in the chat. So we've got a couple of questions. So first one is from Jess. It says, thanks, Preeya. Do you find it is brands, companies that can't understand our charities, priorities, resources, needs, or do you think it's individuals? And would you reach out to someone else in a company if you do not get the results you expect? And what's the normal etiquette in that situation? 3 really good questions there.
Shall I jump in and answer that, and then we'll go into the next one?
Yeah.
I think it's can be, I mean, the brand is made up of individuals, so it would be, you know, I think it sometimes can be individuals. Sometimes if a business is not focusing on corporate social responsibility or their social purpose, then they won't necessarily align with what we want to do. And I think it's hard. I wouldn't really suggest, and Nicola, tell me if you disagree, but I think if you go over somebody's head at the company, I don't think that's going to get you a positive result anyway. I think you want to kind of explain your mission and go to that business and explain how working with your organization is going to make their job easier, whether that's reaching a new audience, whether that's imbuing them with a brand purpose that means their customers are going to be more invested in them as an organization. You know, like I would do research beforehand, look into that business, have an idea, and then, like I said, spend the first half of your meeting trying to understand a bit more about their organization and what that person's role is within it, so you can make sure that you tailor however you're talking about working together to kind of target those objectives and needs. And then sometimes you just have to say, just give up. Like, you have to kind of know, you know, although persistence is key, sometimes I'll reach out to a business in my mind that I really wanted, like Sweaty Betty was an example that we really wanted to work to, and they wanted to work with a national organization and we're international. So you kind of have to be like, okay, fine, that's what they want to do, and then move on and invest your time in another business that might be more suited.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Did you want to add anything to that at all, Nicola?
Yeah, I think I'd go back to them. I mean, I think they've obviously they're missing out on the business priorities. So there's obviously, like Preeya said, there's some business priorities that it's not matching up quite right. So maybe just, you know, go back and just say, you know, could we just, you know, work through some of your business priorities? Just tell us what, you know, what's going to make a difference to you at the moment, and kind of sort of backtrack a little bit, because maybe that wasn't as clear in the beginning, and hence the fact it's not making a difference. So yeah, I'd do
Brilliant.
that.
Thank you, Nicola. I hope that's answered a question, Jess. So on to the next question, which is a really, really good question. If you are trying to break into the charity sector, do you have any advice on how to demonstrate the relationship building skill in an application? Who wants to answer that one?
Did we do that in the we did that in there. So relationship building, you know, if you want to demonstrate it, I mean, I think the three things that I sort of said was empathy, listening, and I think empathy, you know, you can really talk about, you know, talk about one of your corporate partners that you've actually partnered with, and talk about that relationship you've had with them. I'd even put a quote in from them, you know, into your application. Like, if they've given a quote that's basically about you and how you have empathized with their business priorities, put it in, because you've listened. That's how I demonstrate it factually.
Also, like, I came from a PR background, and I think this person's trying to break into the charity sector like I did, and just looking for where there's synergies between what you're doing and what's required. So in relationship building, like in PR, we had to build a lot of relationships with journalists. So demonstrating like all these connections you've got and what the results have been from those connections. So looking for what you've got in the same kind of equivalent.
Brilliant. No, thank you. That's great. Thank you very much. I hope that has helped. And then we have one more question. Oh, just nearly disappeared. How important is setting out your stall, web, social presence, storytelling, etc., first before approaching a potential partner? Asking for a small charity with an amazing mission but limited PR experience. Okay.
I think it's really important. I think that's the first thing that anyone sees, whether that's a business or a supporter. So I think it is important to have all of that in place before you start reaching out. We also get quite a few people coming to us, reactive approaches based on, you know, our comms that we're doing, the other brands we're partnering with that leads people to see that, and our marketing. So I think that's pretty key. Would you agree, Nicola?
It is key, but unfortunately, a lot of charities don't have it. So there may be their website, you know, a lot of things aren't actually set up. I mean, I've got lots of experience of not having that. And I think you know, you can do it without it. You can do it without it. It's about, you know, in your presentation, being able to engage your proposition, make sure that it's concise, it's engaging, and then hit them with some partnership ideas that are going to really, really engage with their business priorities. You know, you can tell them it could be the web or whatever, that could be something they could help you with. So actually maybe go to a technology company or go to an IT company who are very cash rich, a lot of them, and ask for some help. And in some ways it's good not to have it.
Great. No, thank you so much. I hope that's answered your question, Helen. So that's questions we've got time for now. Just conscious of time, we've got a minute left. So just to say a really massive thank you to both Nicola and to Preeya for their time today. I hope you have gone away with some amazing ideas, tips suggestions and things you can kind of take forward in your own charity. And obviously, as I said before, there will be a follow-up email with the recording and also the links and anything else that I can sort of cram into an email that I can send to you just to help you with the next steps in your corporate fundraising. But certainly, yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. It's really nice to see a few familiar names that I've spoken to. Obviously, haven't had a chance to chat to you behind the scenes, but yeah, thank you also very much for your time. And yeah, so thank you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Nicola and Preeya, did you want to say anything quickly before we switch off? We're literally at 1:30.
Yeah.
No, but if you have any other questions, I guess you can put them on the WhatsApp and we can answer them on there.
Yeah. We'll link
Perfect.
in. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.